everybody, and welcome to Reviews That Don't Matter with Jessica Hitt. My name is Jessica Hitt, and on today's episode, we are going to be reviewing the 2018 Academy Awards 90th celebration of whatever anniversary it is. This year's Oscars were fine. They weren't overly exciting. There wasn't any great upsets that we're like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. You know, we didn't get Envelope Gate, which was just so sad that we didn't get another one. Anyway, I think Jimmy Kimmel is second year hosting. I think he did a fine job. I preferred last year's version of Jimmy Kimmel hosting than this year's, but I do think that it was fine. There was a lot of issues that he tackled. I would have liked to have him go on a little bit more with like the Harvey Weinstein's type of stuff. You know, it wasn't as political as I thought it was going to be, which was fine. And then also, I do like his bit where he kind of upgraded from last year by bringing the tourist bus into the Academy Awards. He chose, I think there was probably 8 or 9, maybe 10 celebrities that went with him to the theater across the street in a showing of Wrinkle in Time. I like how Disney kind of snuck that promotion in, too. And they all surprised the audience in the middle of the movie, which, first of all, that is kind of annoying, but also I wouldn't care, but I would also probably not remember most of that movie because of what happened. So overall, the hosting job that Jimmy Kimmel did was fine. I think it was a very good hosting job. I don't think it's the best one I've ever seen. And of course, you know, we would maybe like to expand a little bit more and start getting some host people in the mix that aren't normally in the mix, like women or more people of color. That's not the same thing. I love Seth Meyers. I was actually really happy that he was chosen to be the Golden Globes host. And Kristen Bell did a fine job during the SAG Awards, but I want to see some more actual female comedian people kind of rise up within the late night and then go on to do these hosting gigs that typically go to either late night or comedians. So I think there's definitely some strong choices. I mean, look at Amy Poehler and Tina Fey did amazing with the Golden Globes 3 years in a row. I'd like to see some more things. I think Kumail Nanjiani would be great. He presented an award and he did awesome. Also, I think it's a little too soon to put Tiffany Haddish in a hosting role, something like that, but I think she's got so much potential. And, you know, I haven't seen too much from her, so I want to see more before I'm like, oh, let's put her straight in front of the Oscars and make her host. Even though Tiffany Haddish and Maya Rudolph stole the Oscars with their presenting. They did the best job. It was so good, so entertaining. It really livened up kind of that middle to end part of the Oscars that really starts to drag. I actually think there were a couple of really good presenters in this. I think that Rita Moreno was awesome, legendary. You have Mary St. Germain. I probably butchered that name. I don't remember what her name was. She's 92 years old. I had never heard of her before. She's an Oscar winner, and she presented an award, and she was so cool. You had Jennifer Lawrence and Jodie Foster did a great job with their Meryl Streep jokes. And then Lupita Nyong'o did a presenting job with Kumail Nanjiani. They did really well. So overall, I actually was pretty impressed with presenters because normally they're just they're always trying to make some awkward joke, but they got some actual comedians coming out and doing good things. Dave Chappelle did something, but we cannot talk about the Oscars without talking about the winners of this, which I was so disappointed. I wasn't okay, I was a little angry, but it wasn't I thought that Shape of Water didn't deserve all of this praise it was getting. I just thought there were better movies than Shape of Water. I also, I just really wanted Get Out to get Best Picture. And I knew when Jordan Peele won Best Original Screenplay, which I think he completely deserves that award. I knew when he won that, he was not winning Best Picture. Because I was thinking Shape of Water would get Best Original Screenplay, and then they'd split and Get Out would be Best Picture. But we have too many people in the Academy who decided that the movie Get Out was not Oscar-worthy, even though they didn't see it. So that happened. I mean, it was fine. There was no upsets at all. It was so boring. Everything was predicted perfectly, and it was just no surprises. I was happy when Icarus won for Best Documentary Feature. I was kind of sad Laurie Metcalf didn't win for Best Supporting Actress, but Allison Janney is queen. I love Allison Janney. And so it was a really boring telecast, to be quite honest. I think that they really need to spruce up some stuff. Also, I'm totally here for a film montage. I love them. I liked how they put them in front of the acting categories. But I do think there was one that was oddly placed. There was a film montage that celebrated just 90 years of the Academy Awards and the movies that have won, like Best Picture and like all of, even things that weren't nominated. Like they had stuff from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they had Avengers stuff. Like they basically made like a movie montage, and it was awesome. But it was placed like after like the third commercial, and it kind of didn't feel like it belonged there. Like that should have been at the beginning of the telecast, leading into Jimmy Kimmel's monologue. Like, I don't quite understand why they did that. I thought that was a weird choice. Oh, I think the musical performances were great. I mean, yes, Remember Me, Gael Garcia, he was a little flat during it, but I mean, I still literally, the moment he started singing, started crying because I love that movie and I love that song so much. So happy it won. But overall, actually, I think this is the strongest category of the night, was the best original songs. This was the first year I thought every single song could take it. I thought that Remember Me was obviously going to be the front runner with maybe a This Is Me upset, but in any other year, if they weren't competing against each other, I would see any of these songs winning. I really would. But one thing I really do want to talk about is how to fix the Oscars, because the Oscars have been going down in views drastically for several years. And there's a couple different reasons. I think that a lot of people think that the Academy is out of touch. I think they've lost a lot of fan base with people who are not liberal. And, you know, I think that also, for some strange reason, is not available streaming. Yes, you can get some free trials. That's what I did. I did a YouTube TV free trial and canceled it that night after the awards show. But, you know, I had to download Google Chrome and do all of this stuff to, like, get it. And I was a little worried I was going to miss the start of the show. And then you have, there's these things you can do, or you have to have a cable subscription to log into ABC to get it, and it's just like, I get it. You need some money and all that jazz, but this is 2018, we'll be in 2019 next year, and soon we'll be in 2020s, and you gotta get with the program. You really do, because young people like myself, millennials, as we are called, not so nicely sometimes. Also, you know, the younger crowd, the Gen Zers, I guess is what their generation is called, the young millennials. We don't watch TV as traditionally as, you know, a Gen Xer or a baby boomer does. We ingest it way differently. And I think that the big four networks, as well as the Academy and all of these things, they need to realize that the reason why they're not getting such high ratings from the core demographic of, you know, 25 to 35 or even younger is because you don't put things, it's not easy to get you. Do people really get cable anymore? Like, I get everything I need besides award shows. And then I have to go through a whole bunch of hoops, jump through a whole bunch of hoops to try to get it. Like last year, I had to do an illegal streaming service that got cut off in the middle of it, so I didn't even get to see the magnificence of what was the Best Picture thing live. I had to watch it later, and it's just, you wonder why your ratings are dipping. It's because of that, and it's also because these movies that are nominated every year, while they're fantastic, they're also so little seen. There's some of these movies, The Florida Project, which I've heard only great things, and I'm trying to find somewhere to get. I don't want to buy it for $15 on iTunes. It was almost impossible to find a theater, especially if you live in a smaller town or a smaller city that doesn't have like those art house theater type things. They're not going to show it in a Cinemark or a Regal or any of those types of things, Century, all of those. So you have to go out of your way to go do it, and sometimes with the movies being so expensive, even though, you know, you have Tightwad Tuesday or there's some places where it's cheaper, like especially if you're living in LA, you can spend a lot of money to go find these, even though there's so many more theaters that allow you these art house type of things. You could see The Florida Project, you see The Shape of Water, all of that. But I mean, a lot of times I missed the theater runs of these movies, so I didn't get to go see it. Like, I kept putting off 3 Billboards, and then the week that I was finally able to see 3 Billboards, it was out of the theaters around me, so I didn't get to see it. So it's hard to tune into a telecast that's celebrating movies that you haven't watched. And of course you get stuff like Get Out and Shape of Water, which were pretty popular. Lady Bird did really well, but there's no reason not to start expanding and adding in genre films and kind of thinking outside the box. Like, all of these movies are making a lot of money. Don't just throw them aside because they're blockbusters. Look at them from a technical standpoint and see if they're worthy of an Oscar. That's what the Academy needs to do, because if you start getting in these movies that make a lot of money and a lot of people see, then you're more likely to get more viewers to see if it wins anything. And I'm not saying just to put stuff in to put it in. Like, personally, I don't, as much as I love Wonder Woman, as much as I think it's a great film, I don't think it's an Oscar-worthy film. So I don't need Wonder Woman nominated. Maybe for something like a technical category, maybe. But I do think something like a Logan could have easily been nominated for Best Picture. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. I think it could have crossed over to Best Picture. And, not just, get a roll your eyes because it's a superhero film. There are really great superhero films that should be nominated for Best Picture these days. And I think the Academy needs to get their heads out of their asses and realize if you want to save the Academy, you got to play by other people's rules now. Also, expand to comedy. There are amazing comedies out there that should be nominated for Best Picture. There's no reason that Tiffany Haddish should not have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. No reason. And the other thing, it does not need to be a 3.5 to 4 hour long show to be good. In fact, there are several categories that you should just move over to the Governor's Award or whatever award show they do where they give the less important Oscars to, the ones that we find a little bit more boring. Like, there's no reason to have animated short, live action short, and documentary short. I'm sorry. I know people put a lot of work into it, but nobody sees these. It is so hard to find a documentary short or a live action short online, and if you put it online, like a YouTube, you get disqualified from the Oscars. So to get views on it, you can't get the award. And the only time anybody ever sees an animated short is if it's in front of a Pixar film. So take them out, put them in the other Oscar ceremony, and give us that's 3 right there that we can get out. And I'm not gonna lie, like, the more and more I think about this year's Academy Awards, it really does, like, it's so not memorable in any shape, way, or form. Like, there's some standouts like the Tiffany Haddish or Frances McDormand's speech or the Coco win and the musical stuff, sure. But in 10 years, I'm not going to be thinking about this. I'm probably not. The only thing I'm going to be thinking about is how mad I am that Shape of Water beat Get Out or Lady Bird. But that's my review of the 2018 Academy Awards, the 90th anniversary. I think that this year was great for being inclusive of a whole bunch of different things. And it wasn't so like, yeah, but there was a lot of stuff about Time's Up and Me Too, and that was kind of like like thrown in your face a little bit, which I think is totally fine. But like when you're watching all of these diverse presenters and all of these, like the Latino community had a great representation throughout the entire night, and I think that's amazing. And also, it wasn't that noticeable. It was kind of just like, oh yeah, this is just really good quality stuff. And you don't realize that, they've expanded and they've diversified, which is fantastic, because the more diverse voices that you get, the more interesting conversation and the more interesting movies and the more interesting Academy Awards you're gonna get, in my opinion. So I hope you guys liked this review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. What were your thoughts on the Academy Awards if you watch it, or if you don't watch them anymore, whether it's because you don't like the politics in it or because of some other reason that you can't watch it because you don't have streaming and you didn't know how to get something, or they didn't do streaming or whatever. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I make videos Monday through Friday. I usually miss a day, and my weird's gonna be a little weak, be a little weird. I cannot speak today. I'm just gonna go. Bye.